I'm Lena Hassanel, and this is Nightline. The top stories. Detained Malaysian GSF activists expected to be released via Turkey in 2 days. And 3 demands on Palestinian issue outlined in memorandum to US Embassy. The headlining story. The 23 Malaysian activists detained during the Global Sumut Flotilla humanitarian mission are expected to be released and flown out through Istanbul, Turkey within the next couple of days. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has agreed to facilitate their transfer. According to information from Turkey, all Malaysians are reported to be safe and in stable condition, despite being unjustly detained by Israeli authorities.
Minta jasa baik Presiden Erdogan, kalau boleh ambil mereka dari mana-mana tempat sekitar Israel dan bawa ke Istanbul. Dari Istanbul kita insyaAllah bawa pulang.
Anwar was met after performing Friday and special prayers at Masjid Al-Khadijah in Pantai Dalam, Kuala Lumpur. He added that he has also contacted Qatar's Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, Sheikh Mohammed Abdul Rahman Al Thani, to obtain the latest updates, while maintaining communication with former U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff. The Prime Minister stressed that although Malaysia has no formal ties with Israel, its close relations with Turkey, Qatar and the United States have proven crucial in facilitating this effort. At the same time, Anwar urged activists planning new flotilla missions to Gaza to pause their plans temporarily, pending a reassessment of strategy.
Tapi saya fikir untuk keadaan sekarang ini, dengan keputusan itu, mungkin kita tawakuf, kita berhenti sekejap, guna kebijaksanaan, kita runding semula dan susun semula strategi.
It was reported on Thursday that the third wave of humanitarian flotillas has departed in stages towards Gaza, with 9 Malaysian delegates aboard 2 separate vessels. Anwar has also condemned the remarks made by Israeli Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, who labelled members of the Global Sumut Flotilla as terrorists, describing the statement as rude and insulting.
Mereka ni tak bawa senjata, tak bunuh orang. Dia bawa makanan, minuman dan perubatan. Ya, bagaimana boleh panggil teroris? Ini satu kenyataan yang biadab.
A viral video circulating on social media shows Ben-Gvir standing before the detained activists, accusing them of being terrorists. He was also seen boarding one of the intercepted vessels, falsely claiming that chemical substances were found on board. Meanwhile, the Malaysian legal team currently in Jordan is hoping that all volunteers detained by Israeli authorities will sign the immediate deportation order, allowing them to be sent home as soon as possible. Lawyer Fahmi Abdul Moin from the Center for Human Rights Research and Advocacy, or CENTRA, said the interviews involving the activists who were part of the humanitarian mission, including the Malaysians, have concluded some 24 hours after they were detained. Fahmi, however, said the legal team has not received any official confirmation on the status of the Malaysian participants. CENTRA is working closely with the local organization, the Legal Center for Arab Minority Rights in Israel, or ADALAH, to expedite their release.
Untuk makluman, kami peguam-peguam CENTRA tak boleh memasuki Israel, dan peguam adalah NGO yang telah dilantik untuk mewakili kesemua peserta dari 44 negara termasuk Malaysia. Untuk makluman, memang tidak ada peguam luar dibenarkan, dan kami hanya bekerjasama rapat dan berkomunikasi dengan peguam adalah untuk memberikan info dan dokumen-dokumen yang mereka perlukan.
The immediate deportation order allows foreign detainees to be expelled from a country without undergoing lengthy court proceedings or multiple appeals, ensuring a faster process for their return home. In the meantime, all volunteers detained by Israeli authorities are reportedly being transferred to Ketzayat prison, one of Israel's largest detention facilities. Sumut Nusantara Command Center Director General Datuk Sani Arabi Abdul Alim Arabi said they are expected to be held there for several days due to the Yom Kippur holidays before deportation proceedings get underway, expected to begin as early as next Monday.
Itu kita tidak dapat sahkan adakah keseluruhannya ataupun kerana jumlah peserta ini adalah 495. Pastinya mengambil sedikit masa untuk kita sahkan, cuma kita boleh maklumkan pada petang ini ke semua delegasi Malaysia kita duduk dalam keadaan dan ditemukan dalam keadaan selamat dan sihat oleh pihak peguam kita yang menjadi wakil rasmi di sana.
Meanwhile, 5 Malaysian delegates who were unable to continue with the mission following a vessel malfunction on September 28th have safely returned home. They will now work alongside the Sumut Nusantara Control Center to assist in the next phase of negotiations.
Alhamdulillah mereka telah pun selamat sampai dan insya-Allah akan mula berkampung di SNCC pada malam ini kerana kita belum habis lagi misi ini.
The returning delegates are Abdul Rahim Azhari, Muhammad Khairin Afiq Muhammad Subki, Ahmad Safwan Ujar, Tuan Muhammad Asri Tuan Hussein, and Nur Ilham Fansuri Zainal Rashid. 2 other Malaysian representatives, Hidayat Abdullah and Nik Aziz Nik Muhammad, who were also unable to continue, have been deployed to Jordan to assist the Malaysian legal team. Meanwhile, the Zionist regime on Friday intercepted the Marinette, the last remaining vessel of the Gaza-bound Global Sumut Flotilla in international waters. The organizers said the assault occurred at about 10:29 a.m. local time, at approximately 42.5 nautical miles from Gaza. In a statement, the GSF said Israeli soldiers boarded the Polish-flagged Marinette, which had a crew of 6, and took the activists captive. The group added that the live stream ended abruptly after a soldier smashed the camera upon boarding. The Maritime Initiative stated that over 38 hours, Israeli occupation naval forces illegally intercepted all 42 of their vessels, each carrying humanitarian aid, volunteers, and the determination to break Israel's illegal siege on Gaza. The Marinette was the only GSF vessel left sailing after Israeli forces intercepted dozens of others on Thursday, including boats boarded by Malaysian volunteers. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Ibrahim has described the Global Sumut Flotilla as a noble humanitarian mission aimed at alleviating the suffering of those facing hunger in Gaza, especially the elderly, women, and children. His Majesty said the volunteers in the GSF mission, including Malaysians, are willing to accept risks and challenges in order to convey the message of humanity to the world. Earlier, Sultan Ibrahim granted an audience to Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim and Inspector General of Police Datuk Sri Muhammad Khalid Ismail at Istana Bukit Tungku in Kuala Lumpur. His Majesty said the mission embodies the spirit of humanity beyond borders, extending aid to those who are most in need. He expressed concern that the humanitarian convoy, despite only carrying food and essential supplies, was blocked and detained by Israeli forces, an act that runs contrary to universal humanitarian values. The King was also briefed on the latest developments on the flotilla, including Malaysia's ongoing efforts to secure the release of the detained volunteers. Thousands of Malaysians gathered outside the U.S. Embassy in Kuala Lumpur for the Himpunan Free Sumut Flotilla in a show of solidarity with the humanitarian mission. A memorandum of outlining 3 key demands related to the Palestinian cause and in protest against the blockade of the mission was handed over to an embassy representative by the political secretary to the finance minister, Muhammad Kamil Abdul Munim.
Mereka menyambut baik tuntutan kita dan memaklumkan tadi kepada saya bahawa selepas daripada ini mereka akan terus menghantar dokumen ini ke Washington dan juga mereka sekali lagi menyatakan dengan jelas bahawa mereka menghormati hak kebebasan rakyat di negara kita untuk menyatakan pandangan, berhimpun dan bersuara secara aman, dan bagi mereka itu tidak menjadi satu kesalahan dan masalah buat mereka.
Among the key demands were the immediate release of all volunteers and for the United States to use its influence on Israel to allow ships carrying food, medicine, and humanitarian aid to reach Gaza's waters. More than 200 police officers were deployed to maintain order and ensure the gathering remained peaceful. Calls for the release of detained flotilla volunteers echoed in Kuantan as more than 2,000 people gathered outside the Sultan Ahmad Shah State Mosque after Friday prayers. The gathering, organized by the Pahang Youth Council in collaboration with several non-governmental organizations, brought together people from all walks of life, united in demanding the immediate release of the humanitarian volunteers. The gathering also served as a platform for young Malaysians to voice stronger opposition against the ongoing atrocities committed by the Zionist regime.
Kita melihat bahawa keseriusan perkara ini terhadap pembantaian kepada orang Islam oleh Zionis Israel, yang mana mereka telah menangkap aktivis-aktivis sumut yang kita ketahui bahawa mereka datang dengan tujuan untuk melakukan kebajikan.
Meanwhile, hundreds rallied in central London on Thursday in solidarity with Global Summit Flotilla activists detained by Israeli forces. The emergency demonstration in Parliament Square saw pro-Palestine protesters waving flags and chanting slogans, including "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." The demonstrators expressed their support for the activists detained by Israeli forces and criticized the British government for being complicit in Israel's genocide in Gaza. Police blocked the crowd as it tried to march towards Trafalgar Square, leading to clashes near Downing Street. So far, at least 40 people have been arrested. UMNO will request that the Urban Renewal Bill scheduled for its second reading in Parliament next week be referred to a special parliamentary committee. Its Vice President, Datuk Sri Johari Abdul Ghani, said this will ensure that the bill can be reviewed and refined by incorporating public feedback presented during a convention on the bill held on the Friday. The resolutions adopted at the convention will first be presented to Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi before being submitted to Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim for further deliberation.
Nanti lepas habis itu dia dah dapatan ni kita dapat, dan saya akan bincang dengan Presiden UMNO dan juga Timbalan Perdana Menteri untuk bagaimana kita nak mengolah pandangan-pandangan masyarakat ini. Sebab this is real, this is the only akta dia sampai ke this level. Sebab lain-lain akta dia tak berapa tau. Tapi yang ini because dia melibatkan kepentingan pemilik, penduduk dan banyak stakeholder dalam tu. Jadi suatu tu mereka merasa kerisauan.
Johari, who is also the Plantation and Commodities Minister, said this during a media conference at the UMNO organised convention on urban redevelopment held in the capital on Friday morning. The convention adopted 3 major resolutions, including one calling for the government to postpone the tabling of the Urban Renewal Bill, pending a comprehensive redraft to incorporate the views of all stakeholders. The Urban Renewal Convention also urged amendments to 10 existing laws that relate to urban planning and redevelopment. In addition, the convention proposed the formation of a dedicated government agency to oversee redevelopment, regeneration, and refurbishment projects. Johari clarified that the opinions expressed on Friday were unanimous in not rejecting the bill, but that redevelopment should be carried out in a fair, inclusive, and transparent manner while preserving urban history, culture, and communities. Malaysia has placed government technology, or GovTech, at the core of its structural reforms to boost productivity, enhance public service efficiency, and strengthen investor confidence. Second Finance Minister Datuk Sri Amir Hamzah Azizan said digital transformation under the 13th Malaysia Plan will drive high-value, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth.
At the end of the day, GovTech is about more than technology. It's about credibility, accountability, and resilience. It will become a driver of productivity, an anchor of citizen trust, and a cornerstone of Malaysia's journey towards high income and sustainable growth. To achieve this,
he delivered his keynote address virtually at the launch of the Malaysia Economic Monitor report by the World Bank. The report recognized investments such as MyGov Cloud and My Digital ID as strong foundations for greater productivity and more efficient digital connectivity. These initiatives are expected to accelerate policy reforms, strengthen public institutions, and support active private sector participation in the digital economy. More than 2.8 million Malaysians have registered for My Digital ID, with over 45 government and private sector platforms already integrated. Among them are the My JPJ app and the My Bayar PDRM application, which now support the digital verification system. Digital Minister Gobind Singh Deo said the use of My Digital ID will be made compulsory for prepaid SIM card registrations in order to strengthen digital security and trust. The National Cloud Computing Policy has also been approved to modernize government cloud infrastructure and improve service efficiency. Under the 13th Malaysia Plan, all federal government services are expected to be fully accessible online by 2030. Gobind stressed that digital reforms require cross-agency cooperation and must be implemented with a focus on outcomes and public trust.
The 2026 budget is set to reshape the nation's future, from unlocking new revenue streams and driving investments, to easing the rising cost of living and strengthening social protection. Every move matters. Stay ahead with our exclusive pre-budget reports, October 6th to 9th, only on Nightline.
Two killed in Tongat flash floods. This and more from the local front after this breather.
Who are you?
Aku Sore, istri kamu dari masa depan.
The best content doesn't just entertain, it sells. At Content Berhangat, we build campaigns that move customers from watching to buying. From screen to store, we know how to make every second of attention count. Custom advertising campaigns built for your business. Professional ads that put you in the spotlight. Exclusive rates you won't find anywhere else. It's not just advertising, it's real business growth. Register now at AdvantageRSVP.com.
Jalan-jalan, cari makan.
Gendang-gendut tali kecapi. Cari kari, dapat hadiah lagi.
Memang puas hati.
Misi menangi kari dah bermula. Tak sabarnya nak menang.
Kari.
Nak tahu syarat-syarat penyertaan? Senang je. Pergi ke laman media sosial TV3 Malaysia untuk maklumat lanjut.
Sur, padu.
Dan saksikan Jalan-Jalan Cari Makan setiap Ahad 11.30 pagi di TV3 atau stream juga melalui Tonton untuk peluang menang hadiah. Kari penuh rasa, hadiah penuh gaya.
Sore, kalau memang kamu mau mati lebih dulu, ya udah, nggak usah dengerin aku lagi.
Jangan nak ubah orang. Kalau orang nak berubah, dia akan ubah diri sendiri. So there's a lot of like psychological message.
Cinta seorang isteri, dia sanggup buat macam-macam demi husband and wife ni. So the concept tu very touching lah.
Antara kasih, sayang, cinta sejati, harapan, impian dan juga penyesalan, anda kena tonton filem ni, khususnya golongan wanita.
Aku Sore, istri kamu dari masa depan.
How will the upcoming budget 2026 shape Malaysia's tax landscape? From corporate levies to global minimum tax, discover the changes that could impact businesses and your wallet. Azaria Tagaya speaks with KPMG Head of Tax, So Lian Seng, only on Money Matters, this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Welcome back. A 7-year-old boy and a 79-year-old woman were found drowned after being swept away by sudden flood waters in Tongot, Sabah. The incident occurred on Thursday night in Kampung Bangkulut, Imbak, as both victims tried to escape rising waters. At around 9 p.m., the local boy and the Indonesian woman were wading through flood waters when the tragedy struck. It is understood the boy slipped from his mother's grasp before being carried away by the strong currents. According to the Kinabatangan Fire and Rescue Department, the woman's body was discovered 250 meters from where she was last seen. The child's body was later recovered at 4 a.m., about 200 meters from the first victim. Both bodies have been handed over to police for further action. No evacuation was carried out as river levels had fully receded, and the operation ended at 5 a.m. In Johor, residents around Tanjung Piai and Pontian were startled on Thursday by a massive blaze involving the flue gas desulfurization chimney at the Tanjung Bin power plant. The flames were visible from several kilometers away. According to the Pontian Fire and Rescue Department, the alarm was raised at around 8 o'clock in the evening. The blaze destroyed about 70% of the structure. Fortunately, no casualties were reported, while the cause of the fire and the extent of the damage are still under investigation. A former accountant pleaded not guilty at the Balik Pulau Sessions Court on Friday to 4 charges of criminal breach of trust involving company funds amounting to 1.9 million ringgit. The accused, 29-year-old Chuan Chin Gi, was a former accounting officer with a logistics firm in Batu Maung. She's alleged to have made 231 transfers totaling 1,919,899 ringgit and 55 cents from the company's bank account into a personal account between November 2020 and May 2023. The case is being prosecuted under Section 408 of the Penal Code and carries a jail term of between 1 and 14 years, whipping and a fine upon conviction. The court also granted bail of 40,000 ringgit with 1 surety and set the case for mention on the 13th of November, pending submission of documents. Munich airport reopens after drone sightings force closure. The details when Nightline returns.
Fan nomor 1, itu memang kamu. Jangan tunggu, vote laju-laju. Undi calon 2037, kita bagi kecoh. Nomor 1, bintang paling popular. You are the one, kita tentukan. ABTDH 37, satu keunggulan. Memang tiada lawan. Show undi straight sampai 9 November. Scan the QR. Cepat undi-undi, benda free. Tak cukup, kita gada lagi.
Jalan-jalan, cari makan.
Gendang-gendut tali kecapi. Cari kari, dapat hadiah lagi.
Memang puas hati.
Misi menangi kari dah bermula. Tak sabarnya nak menang.
Kari.
Nak tahu syarat-syarat penyertaan? Senang je. Pergi ke laman media sosial TV3 Malaysia untuk maklumat lanjut.
Sur, padu.
Dan saksikan Jalan-Jalan Cari Makan setiap Ahad 11.30 pagi di TV3 atau stream juga melalui Tonton untuk peluang menang hadiah. Kari penuh rasa, hadiah penuh gaya.
Sorry. Yandi selalu sentuh perasaan orang.
Filem Indonesia yang saya rasa udah nggak ada lagi yang lebih baik dari Sorry.
Pasal cinta, pasal takdir, inspirasi sangat-sangat best guys.
Sumpah worth to watch banget. Kalian harus nonton. Wajib banget nonton atau enggak kalian akan ketinggalan sesuatu yang very happening now. 10/10. 100 out of 10.
Aku Sore, istri kamu dari masa depan.
Unlocking the future of business.
From industry evolutions to policy changes, we go beyond the headline.
Deep insights, sharp analysis.
Understanding the forces driving tomorrow's economy.
Key financial insights that drive decisions.
This is Money Matters, every Saturday, 5 p.m.
Only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
On to the foreign front. Hamas on Thursday said the Palestinian group will respond soon to U.S. President Donald Trump's proposal to end Israel's nearly 2-year war on Gaza. Its political bureau member Mohammed Nazal told Al Jazeera Arabic that the group is reviewing the plan with the aim of halting Israel's assault and will announce its position shortly. He stressed that as representatives of the Palestinian resistance, Hamas has the right to voice its stance in a way that serves the interests of the Palestinian people. Earlier this week, the White House outlined a 20-point plan calling for an immediate ceasefire, a prisoner swap, a phased Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, Hamas disarmament, and a transitional government led by an international body. On Tuesday, Trump gave Hamas 3 to 4 days to accept the plan. Germany's Munich airport has resumed operations after drone sightings forced the cancellation of 17 flights, the diversion of 15 others, and left some 3,000 passengers stranded. Flight tracking data showed planes departing again by 5:50 a.m. local time Friday. German flight carrier Lufthansa confirmed that operations had returned to schedule, though at least 19 of its flights were cancelled or diverted. Drone sightings were first reported by air traffic control at 10:18 p.m. on Thursday, prompting a gradual restriction and then a full shutdown. The source of the drones remains unclear amid a series of similar incidents across Europe in recent weeks. The death toll in Vietnam from Typhoon Bua Loi and the floods it triggered rose to 51 on Friday, with 14 people still missing and 164 others injured. The government's disaster management agency said the storm made landfall on Monday in northern central Vietnam, bringing strong winds, heavy rains, and large sea swells. Property damage has been revised up to $603 million compared to $436 million in a previous report released on Thursday. The typhoon damaged roads, schools, and offices and caused power outages that left tens of thousands without electricity. More than 230,000 homes were damaged or flooded, and nearly 89,000 hectares of crops destroyed. The report, however, did not mention any major damage to industrial properties. On to sports now. Football, the 2025 Super League. Terengganu FC secured their 4th win of the season with a 4-1 victory over Kelantan, the Real Warriors, at the Sultan Mizan Zainal Abidin Stadium on Friday night. The hosts wasted no time, breaking the deadlock in the 22nd minute through Diego Landes, before Nurilo Tukstanichov doubled the lead just 7 minutes later. Jan Mabella further tightened Terengghanu's grip, finding the net in the 40th minute to make it 3-0 at half-time. Kelantan fought back after the break, pulling one back through T. Saravanan. But any hopes of a comeback were shattered when Mabella struck again in the 72nd minute to seal the emphatic win for the Turtles. Turning to cycling. Arvid de Klein found himself back on the top step of the podium in a wet and miserable 6th stage of Petronas Le Tour de Langkawi on Friday. The 123.5-kilometer stage began in Shah Alam and ended in Port Dickson after nearly non-stop rain. The Dutch rider, who also won Stage 2 on Monday, mastered a tricky bunch sprint to finish in 2 hours, 32 minutes and 55 seconds, just ahead of Uno X Mobility's Ellen Blikra. Spain's Manuel Peñalver took third, while Malaysia Pro Cycling's Izzat Hilmi Abdul Halil delivered the best local result of the tour so far, with a fourth-place finish. The client's win moves him to second in the orange jersey sprint classification, with 42 points, just 3 behind leader Blikra. The white jersey for Best Asian Rider remains with Nikolya Vinokurov of XDS Astana, while Patrick Eddy of Team Picnic Post NL keeps the polka dot jersey. The tour continues Saturday with Stage 7, a 214.9-kilometer route from Malacca to Medini, featuring 3 sprint zones in Sungai Rambai, Semera and Pontian. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at visuals of Switzerland's glaciers shrinking by a quarter of its volume in the past decade due to climate change. With that, I'm Liana Hassanel. Thank you for watching and be well, Malaysia.